Listen, so Kyla's popped today in honor of Ryan this episode, okay? I mean, I'm paying homage. Some of y'all might say homage. Because when I tell you this guy made all the sense in the world to me at that couple's dinner and took the folks to church while Tamra sat there like the empty wagon making the most noise, saying absolutely nothing. I hear you talking, girl, but you ain't saying nothing. Absolutely delusional. We'll get into that though. What's going on, y'all? It's your girl Taina B here. Welcome to my chat party. Thank you so much for joining me. Where we stay lit, the music is loud, we do our thing, we have a good time. Again, as I say, this is all fun, not necessarily all facts, just my little opinions and thoughts and all those things in between. So thank y'all so much in advance for stopping through to my party. I'm telling y'all, the guest list. It's the guest list for me, right? Again, I've mentioned before, I'm a person, I like simple, intimate things. But in this instance, I'm okay with the chat party growing. You know what I'm saying? With the guest list increasing. So thank you so much to you guys who have subscribed at this point and shown some love, who have just come to the party for a little bit to show your face for a little bit, stayed the whole time, liked, shared your comments. I appreciate you so much from the bottom of my heart. I want to give a special shout out from my last video to my two commenters, because again, I tell y'all too, it's not the quantity, it's the quality, baby. Get into it. You better get it together. I'm not that girl that counts numbers, okay? Even though again, y'all gotta be paying attention down to that list. I just can't help it. But whatever the case, Christopher Zoro Bautista 5730, much love. And Suburb Cinderella, oh my God, you totally made my day with your comment. You guys are the true VIPs. And if anybody tell y'all different, y'all tell them I said they a lie. And the truth ain't in them, because it's not the case. Okay, so thank y'all so much. I appreciate all the love. Thank you to you guys in advance who are going to show some love too on future videos. So let's go ahead and get into it, you guys, right? Because we don't want to waste too much time. We start off with Gina, Tamara, and Emily meeting together. And they're pretty much recapping the night before. I'm going to just say from that, at the end of the day, they can talk about how delusional Alexis was, or, Looney Tunes, and she most certainly was. But again, I'm going to still say, Emily, you joined right in on that bandwagon. You hopped in on that because you acted the same. A natural royal fool. It was just too much. And you made absolutely no sense. To me, you had no leg to stand on, no true argument or defense, and you just look crazy. You should have handled that a different way. I always feel like no one's feelings should ever be minimized, even if we don't always necessarily agree with them, but it's all in your presentation, right? You still really wouldn't have had a whole much, to say, I don't think, or much of an argument if you were calm, but I think it would have been received better. And I think once you heard what Heather had to say and actually listened, you would have been okay. But anyways, the point of it all too with that little meetup is that they're letting us know 8 hours later we're going to be in for a treat, as it relates to this whole Shannon situation. And so fast forward to Dr. Terry and Heather. He's been having this they're at a appointment for him to have surgery on his nose. He's going to have a nose job because he's been having difficulty sleeping through the night. Can I say really quick sidebar? I love how they did kind of the shout out and the photo of Dr. Paul Nassif. And I can't remember, you guys, because again, I'm getting older, but where did we used to see him and his ex-wife? And I can't remember her name either. I just remember she had blonde hair. Was it Beverly Hills or was it Orange County? And I don't think they were main characters. Maybe they were, but I just know we used to see them. Anyways, I know Dr. Nassif more so from watching Botched, which I haven't seen in a while, but I just love them. Him and Dr. Dubrow as a duo. They're just two hilarious men. But anyway, so, while they're kind of waiting, for Dr. Dubrow to go in for, or, have his procedure, Heather's just filling him in on the night before all these things. Okay, great. To me, the real highlight of this was Dr. Terry getting smart with Heather, because he got to a point where he was like, all right, well, I don't want to talk about this no more. Okay. Because I mean, if you're going to, so I don't want to, I was like, oh, shoot. Y'all, I cannot recall ever seeing Dr. Terry get smart with Heather. Now, obviously, what happens behind closed doors, we don't know, right? And every couple is going to have their disagreements. But actually, on the camera, do y'all remember ever seeing him kind of break flag with Heather? I was like, oh my God, I was a little taken aback by that. And then, just kind of the little sidebar, them not realizing that we can kind of, it's a hot mic moment. We can hear them. And, Heather's like, just kind of pretty much like, don't admonish me, in front of the cameras, like watch yourself pretty much. So I was here for a low key, you kind of like, oh shoot, y'all see what's going on over there? Y'all see that? They getting into it, kind of one of those things. But we know they were going to keep it calm and collected because that's the type of couple that we are, just having a little lovers quarrel right quick. But thankfully everything went well and successful with his procedure. So fast forward, now we have Jen and Ryan. They're shopping and talking. While dually, we have Tamara and Eddie talking at their home. They're both on the same subject pretty much because the ladies are sharing that they're in a good space with one another. And I'm thinking, y'all are? Something, y'all? They're in a good space. Maybe I'm just not as kind as Jen is, but I'm like, how are y'all in a good space? Because let's think a little bit. And they even showed it later on in the episode. I was already like 10 steps ahead of the game. You assaulted me with a napkin in front of people. You talked about me like a dog and my relationship to others. You insulted my finances and my living situation. You've talked to me all types of crazies in even the past season, but we're in a good place. Ciao. Goodbye. I mean, and at the same time, who would ever be in a good place with Tasmanian Tamra? That lady cannot be trusted. But nevertheless, the ladies are trying to talk their guys into hashing things out with one another, Eddie and Ryan, because apparently Ryan went on a podcast and was sharing how Eddie wasn't the greatest person in the world. Ryan seems like he's willing to talk, but at the same time, who's like, who really gives a F? I ain't think about them people, and I can feel that energy. And Eddie is just a straight up no for him, right? So let's get to Shannon. She ends up checking in with her beautiful daughter, Adeline, via FaceTime. And, Adeline is pretty much confirming the whole, situation of how John is gross, with what he's doing to her mom. And he is. And, Shannon feels like things can't get any more worse. Fast forward to later in the day, the cameras pan in on Tamara, who sees an article that now this, settlement request, this legal proceeding has been made public. And so Tamara says Shannon will be somewhere pretty much curled up in a corner having a time because these are just not things that she handles well. And I don't know who really would, again, when you keep having everything, as they say, but the kitchen sink thrown at you. And so Tamara calls Shannon in that moment to check in on her. Shannon doesn't answer. But then apparently Shannon butt dials Tamara back, and you can hear her talking to someone in the background. And she's saying that Alexis hired a publicist, to kind of get this information out there. And so Tamara says in her confessional, she doesn't believe Alexis hired a publicist. And I'm like, I do. I definitely do. As chin deep as this lady has been in Shannon and John's affairs, oh, I absolutely believe that she did. She herself could sit in my face and tell me, I didn't hire a publicist. And I'd be like, yeah, you did. For the Christian woman that I am and the Christian woman that she is, let's tell the truth and shame the devil because the devil is a lie. You absolutely did. This woman will go to whatever lengths to do anything for this man that she barely knows at this point in time. We have had the evidence in our face to see how hard she's been riding for this unknown man. And you mean to tell me that she wouldn't go the extra mile to hire the publicist? Child, okay. You got to play with somebody else on that one. And so, sidebar, I will say another shout out to Tamara on the outfit. Super cute. I'm loving, the rose look. She's sitting there looking like the absolute angel that she is not. Loved Heather's blue sheer outfit as well, too. I thought she looked really cute. But anyways, we fast forward. Gina's ex and his fiance now come over to Gina's home. And I just love Gina's honesty in this moment because apparently her ex and, his girlfriend, they're now getting married. And, Gina's pretty much saying in her confessional and somewhat to them too, in but so many words, that she's really happy for them and she wishes that her situation was pretty much headed in the positive direction like theirs is, whereas on the contrary, her stuff has fallen apart with Travis. And she could have been sitting there shading them or hating on them like, a lot of people tend to do, but she didn't. And I really respect that a whole lot. I love the fact that her and, her ex's new fiance really like each other and can get along well. We call that adulting 101. But apparently Travis's ex hasn't gotten that memo yet, because apparently she's in these streets wilding out, causing issues, and it's affecting their unit, as a whole, and their ability to kind of, from what I'm gathering from Gina, because I probably missed it in prior episodes too, because I haven't been paying that much attention to this, but it's pretty much, paralyzing their ability to be able to be happy. And I'm just like, well, first of all, you shouldn't allow anyone or anything to interrupt that flow. And I want to say she almost used the phrase or statement to the extent of them being like soulmates of some sort or made for each other. And I'm like, right, but that's the thing, Gina. When someone is made for you and something is for you, there is nothing that can come in between that to ruin or take away what's supposed to be. So I don't know if it's a situation where you just ain't working hard enough or what. You know what I'm saying? But I'll be doggone if I'm gonna let, especially some ex, come in and ruin something that is working wonderfully for me. We can all say it's easier said than done. I'm the type of lady, it's not for me per se, but everybody's different, right? So, anyways, we now go to Katie's couples dinner party, right? And so I'll say that's my kind of zhuzh. It's low key, not that many people. It's a beautiful setup. Everything is clean, dainty, and I'm sure the food will be good enough, right? Sidebar. So Emily and Shane arrive, and I'm like, Emily is looking like Sunday morning, right? Like she just came from Sunday service with that outfit on. And I'm like, stockings with sandals, especially open toe sandals, y'all. That's not my thing. I don't like that. I don't like that. That's the equivalent, like people have like, or they wear like Jesus sandals. And if you know what I know, or you know what I mean, you know what I'm talking about. Listen, when I get better at this whole editing thing and quality thing, hopefully I'll be able to stick and insert pictures and whatnot. But it's like, people, listen, Jesus sandals are bad enough, but then it's the people that wear the socks with the Jesus sandals. Like the two just don't mix. And it's like those stockings. And I don't mean to offend anyone. Listen, maybe y'all wear it well. I don't know. But it's a no for me. And so that just kind of threw me off when they walked up. I was like, wait, what? So Emily, don't get it twisted. I ain't talking about no size 12s or your weight or anything. I'm simply talking about the fact that the stockings for me were taking away from the outfit with them sandals. Okay. Anyways, not important, but moving on. So Tamra and Eddie arrive, and then finally you have Jen and Ryan who come, and they get the party started already, because as Ryan's greeting everybody, he goes up to Eddie and asks Eddie, like, you want a hug? And Eddie's like, no. Just as dry as this man is every time we see him. And I get it, right? Listen, Eddie's keeping it a beam, and then even so, Ryan is just like, what are you trying to hide from me? Because Eddie starts walking away, and he's like, nah, pretty much, like, I don't have anything to say to you. So I can't blame that honesty either, because when you just don't fool with somebody, or you don't see it for them, you just don't fool with them. Who could really be mad at that, right? At the end of the day, I most certainly wasn't. And so at the same time, I'm wondering now, Ryan, if you know you're not really feeling this guy either, why couldn't you have kept it simple as a hello and kept it moving yourself? Like, why are you trying to do the most? That I don't like, because that's when things come across as unauthentic, or as being an unauthentic individual. You don't have to do all that. You can have your limits. You don't have to go the extra mile. I'm not jumping through hoops and ladders for you, because we don't fool with each other like that. We know that there's beef. You lucky you got a hello. So I thought that, while Ryan is more of a friendly guy and more personable guy, in my opinion, he still was kind of doing the most. I don't think he needed to do all that, right? Sidebar. Speaking of being personable, who would y'all rather engage in a conversation with? I need you to get on the dance floor and let me know. Would it be Eddie, dry eyes, or Ryan, like the down to earth dude that you probably could talk to anything about? I get that, there might be implications that folks feel like, he's a jackal and all this other stuff like that, but he just seems like a cool dude. Like, if I'm stuck in a room or a party with them, I'm going and I'm talking to Ryan. Okay. I'm going to tell you that right now. So anyways, another sidebar, I'll say, I know Katie's husband was sorry she asked Ryan, or he asked Ryan what Ryan did for a living, because the way that Ryan went on and on and on. And I said to him, okay, maybe actually I got to take that back. Maybe I would speak to Eddie instead, have a conversation, because as dry as the conversation would be, I know it would be short and sweet. It's but so long that I have the energy to give to sit and talk to folks that long, but I'm joking, y'all. I don't mind extensive conversation if it's good conversation, but I thought that was funny. He first got the fumbling and stumbling, but when he was on a roll, he was on. So I thought that was a funny moment. But so now they're sitting at the dinner table, they're starting to get the conversation going. And I said, I'm not talking about this Emily stuff. I'm not in the mood for it. And then I said, you know what? Yes, I am. Yes, I am going to talk about this Emily stuff, because she wanted Heather to see her. She wanted Heather to see her. Y'all, what does that mean? Like, she wanted Heather to see what? Like, we could break this down in so many different ways, especially as a grown woman. You wanted Heather to see what? Who is Heather at the end of the day? Now, and I say that, because we know Heather is that girl. Don't get me wrong. But I'm saying, like, but Heather is still a human, right? And Heather does not control the narrative of Emily's life. So you wanted her to see what? Like, I'm so, like, Emily is just going too far with this for me unnecessarily. I'm like, so now we're going to layer this back even more. You wanted her to see you. Is it that, again, you like, do you look up to Heather? I mean, like, of all the ladies, like, I don't get it. Like, why do you have all this smoke for Heather in particular? And I know I can answer my own questions. It's more rhetorical, and more just for fun. It just looks wild. And especially considering, just popping in my head right off the rip, the prior episode, she paid you. They showed a flashback where she paid you a compliment on having, like, one of the best butts ever. So she saw you. Like, I don't know. Anyways, moving on. So, of course, Tamara shares Shannon's butt dial and how she's blaming Alexis for everything. And so Katie chimes in and says she can understand how Shannon feels, because first it was Alexis and her husband suing Shannon, and now it's John and Alexis. Tamara's like, you can't compare the two. Why can't you? You absolutely can, especially when you have a recurring theme, which is Alexis, the same person. Like, I was like, Tamara, what are you talking about? Like, that doesn't even make any sense. And now, while I don't feel everything should fall back on Alexis, let's certainly give her shine on this, because she's hopped on the train full force from day one. Okay. I keep saying it, and I'll say it again. So when you insert yourself and you put yourself in the mess, oh, then we're going to treat you, you know, how we should. You know what I'm saying? You get whatever comes along with that, since you want to join in something that no one told you to join in. And Shannon shares in her confessional, when the Bellinos sued her and Tamra, the press got a copy, right? And it went public. And now the same thing is happening. The same person is involved. So why wouldn't your antenna go up on that? Like, why wouldn't it? I get exactly what Shannon's saying. Now, obviously, it may not necessarily be a proven fact, but it's still a well stated one. It's still a great, just conclusion to come to when you know what you're dealing with, because you've seen this movie play out before. So I'm like, can somebody just throw something on Tamara's mouth? I mean, I was going to say something mean, but can someone just throw something on her mouth to make her be quiet, please? Because she just be doing the most and not making any sense. And so Tamara says Shannon's just mad Alexis is banging John. And with all this BS going on with John and the things he's putting Shannon through, Tamara, I think that Shannon is good. I don't think that's it at all. And even before that, listen, again, I'm sure she went through so much with that man that the last thing she would be concerned about is who he's fooling around with. Okay. As I believe she's mentioned in this season already, thank you, Alexis, actually, for taking him off of her hands. For actually, we thought, giving him something to do. But even you aren't really doing and giving what you should give to keep whatever it is in him burning and keep his attention on you, because he's all the way up in this with Shannon, still a hot mess. But anyways, Shannon sidebar with her dog, that was really sad, because again, she's going through it, and it would be nice, I'm sure, in her mind, if she had a decent companion to be able to sit and talk to, and just cry in their arms, get an encouraging word, and know that everything is going to be okay. It's hard to go through things, as a lot of you out there know, when you just don't have the support that you would like to have, right? You make it through, but sometimes those are the moments where you just kind of wish you had someone. So I feel really bad for her in that, and for what she's having to deal with. And so they address the elephant, right, as they say in the room, of Ryan with this podcast situation, y'all. I ain't even gonna spend a whole lot of time on it, because as far as I'm concerned, Ryan just pretty much came with the facts. And Tamara and Eddie sat there and they look crazy. And speaking of sitting there looking crazy, did y'all see any of the faces that Eddie was making? First, he starts up by looking up in the sky when Tamara's talking. Then at one point, he's looking down the table like this. Then at another point, he's in a haze. And Jen is like, Eddie, would you say something? And I started to be like, Eddie, blink. Are you there? Are the lights on? Is anyone home? Sir. And that's mildly putting it. I'm telling y'all, I can say some real crazy stuff. I promise y'all, I control myself. And I probably really would have y'all, like, girl, you are a mess if I said what I really want to say, but I'm trying to be an adult in my life, right? But I'm just like, is he all right? If you get me, like, is he okay? He's different. Okay. He's definitely different. And so anyways, sorry, I got sidetracked. As Ryan is trying to explain his side of things, Tamara won't let him get in a word edgewise. She said he talked about Eddie as a businessman. Meanwhile, they play a snippet from the podcast, and I didn't hear that at all. I don't know what y'all heard. All I heard was him saying that people didn't have good things to say about Eddie and Tamara. That's it. Where did we hear businessman in there? Where did we hear business? Where did we hear anything that would relate to business in there? I was like, Tamara, be quiet. Here you go again. Loudest one in the room. What are you saying? And so also, Tamara is so adamant about that I feel that if that really were the case, Bravo would have played that part, and they didn't, because there's nothing to play, because it doesn't exist. And so Ryan is trying to explain to Tamara and Eddie that this all stemmed, even him saying what he did on the podcast, from the simple fact that, when there was a barbecue that Ryan was hosting in his backyard, apparently, I don't know, and I'm sorry, y'all, because I know we heard about this before in the prior season. I don't know if it was a thing where someone came up to Eddie, I think that's what it was, and said to watch out for Ryan because he likes to mess with married men, and something about Tamara. Like, we knew that allegedly, he was saying how he would, I guess, have a good time with Tamara. And I don't even care about all that. Ryan's point, though, that I do care about to Eddie was, if that was the case, sir, why didn't you approach me man to man to say something about it? Why didn't you address me? Why are you having this conversation with other people and I don't know about it? I feel like they were even friends at that point. I could be wrong, but y'all were still rolling in a circle that was pretty peaceful at the time, right? These folks are working out at your gym. Eddie's training Jen or whatever. Love is love. So because y'all are in that close proximity to one another, it was a conversation that should have been had. And Eddie's on some, oh, well, because, you're not a threat to me. You're not a threat. And my wife would never. That's not the point of it all, though, Eddie. That's not the point of it all. You over here calling, or Tamara's over here calling Ryan itches and whatnot. And I'm like, but your man didn't say anything. And I feel like real men address real situations. This is still something that involved his wife, right? why wouldn't you ask him, even if it's just calm and collected, like, yo, bro, I'm hearing you said these things about my woman. Like, is that true? Like, what's the deal? You know what I'm saying? Like, I want to believe it's not true, but I got to hear that from your mouth or something. Like, how do you just not say anything at all? So I was like, Ryan was absolutely spot on, and I get it. And then that's the thing too. The whole principle of it all is that, Tamara, you're mad because he went on a podcast and said that people haven't said the greatest things about y'all, but then you feel like he shouldn't be mad because, you know, whether it's true or not, there's still negative conversation about him messing with married women and you in particular. Like, make that make sense. How do you feel like he shouldn't have spoken on that? Or why wouldn't that be a reason to say something negative? Like, it's almost like Eddie was the one who got the ball rolling on that, and you getting all loud and mad for what? That just didn't make sense to me. And then she's also talking about, oh, and then you talked about me as a parent. And, Ryan was like, no, I didn't. And you can hear whoever is sharing this podcast space with him. I don't know if it was the host of the podcast or who. They were the person doing the talking about the whole Tamra situation with her family. To which Ryan said, that's something that he just wasn't going to speak on. So how is that him talking about you and your parenting skills? Then you bring up this whole thing of your son Ryan and bringing up the video of some woman that he was messing. Well, whatever the case may be, and you got mad because Ryan reposted it. Now Ryan was saying he wasn't talking about Tamara's son and his man parts, but you had an eggplant there, Ryan. So I was like, well, I think you were. But even if you did, to me, that wasn't crazy what he said. And for someone like Tamara, who is so evil and has said and done the most evil things to people, that again, I can't stand people like that who are so sensitive when it comes to people doing and saying things to them, but they could just go off on others. They can go off with no thinking there should be no repercussions or anything. So I just wasn't here for it. I think that Ryan was spot on. I definitely loved how he chin checked Tamara at the end in his confessional. I was like, you better go ahead and say it, boy, how she's miserable. Her husband is soft and all of that. I was like, okay. And the lies are told where? Let's talk about it. Let me know, y'all. The music is on. It's lit. Don't be no prude. Don't hold up the wall. You feel it. You feel it. Get on the dance floor and let me know what your thoughts are. Who is right in this situation? Who is wrong? Did Tamara and Eddie really, did they make any sense? Any sense whatsoever? Please let me know. Because I know I can't be crazy, right? And then also, let me just throw in her thinking she's dropping some type of atomic bomb. I know I personally wasn't impressed. Maybe you guys were. When she was like, oh, yeah, well, you want to talk about the FBI? Or what did she say? Whatever she said, and how he was investigating him and his friend. Okay, great. We'll probably find out more about that. But I'm just like, who cares? Who cares? At the end of the day, you think you are doing something and trying to deflect when you played yourself. You pretty much played yourself. So anyways, y'all, I appreciate y'all so much. I hope that this video will find you guys in good spirits, that somehow is able to put a little bit of a smile on your face or make a little bit of sense of this. If not, listen, I respect that too, just as long as you keep the respectful at my party, because here we have a good time. We don't have no negative times. We don't do no crazy stuff this way, okay? Not that type of party. But anyways, y'all, I will be back next week to do it all over again, and I can't wait to talk to you guys. So until then, y'all stay up, stay blessed, and I'm out. Peace.